Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 84 of the All in Football Fantasy Premier League show podcast. I'm your host, the self-proclaimed FPL guru, and joining me today are my usual suspects of Barry Stokes in his Christmas jumper and Scott Williams, not in his because he's saving it for Saturday. Barry, how are you?
Oh, good, thank you. All festive with my Christmas jumper on. So, apart from obviously game week not going well, but I don't think it's going well for anyone. So, there we are.
Absolutely not. I think everyone's having a shocker. The highest score in our league so far this week is 40 points. And that person's got Trent, I think. So, which is, not many people do in our league.
Got Virgil van
They've got
Dijk.
Virgil. That's the one. Virgil. They've got, well. And was it a foul? Was it not a foul? God, who knows, eh? Liverpool strikes again, eh? Scott, how are you?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. Kids slept through, as I said before. I'm ready. I'm ready for this. I'm excited for this podcast. I've got more energy today than I've had in quite a while. So, apologies for my chipper tone. But let's get on with Manager of the Week for last week. For what was it? Game week 14? It was game week 14? So we're on game week 15, aren't we, at the moment?
Yeah.
And we have to go through, unfortunately, to the second page of the of the league, but to Phil Hallam. That's right, Baz. Phil Hallam who won, wasn't it?
It is, yeah.
78 points.
He started 3 weeks late, to be fair, as well.
Did he?
Yeah.
Well, considering his overall rank is 6.7 million, and he started. I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's have a look at this. So when did he start? Game week 3. So out of all of the managers that started game week 3, he's 13k overall.
That's pretty impressive.
It's pretty impressive because a lot of people start late FPL wise, and so well done to Phil for being that high up in the game week 3 overall. That should be your actual overall rank, Phil.
No, it's actually over. I think it's 6 million. It's got all summer to prepare. Come on, Phil.
78 points, pipping a couple of people, 77 and 76. They knew they were. But 2 points for Areola, Trippier with 12, 1 for Walker, 5 for Zinchenko, 10 for Taylor. That's a big one there. A lot of people had him on the bench. Salah with 5, Gordon with 10, Bone with 2, Saka with 8, Edouard with 9. Been listening to the podcast, this guy. And Haaland with 14. So well done to Phil. In contrast, did you get 76, Scott? Or was it you, Baz? I can't remember which one of you got close.
Me.
You, there it was.
Captain Rungud over there.
I was kneeling one of you, but I couldn't remember which one it was.
Apart from Mbemo getting injured, but yeah.
He still got an assist before he went off.
Well, scored.
Scored. I'm sorry.
He's got a pen.
My players just go off injured and then don't do anything in the game. Yours at least score.
No.
It's nice and tight at the top of the league. We will do Bumo replacements in a second. So tight at the top of the league. So Richard Kirk has got 30 points so far. Callum Burnett 16. There's only 7 points between them at the top. Sandy Punjam with one of the best weeks, 38 points up to 905. So yeah, it's nice and tight at the top. Let's get on to talking about next week, shall we? Let's go on to looking at game week 15 because there's all sorts of podcasts out there game week 16. Sorry, there's all sorts of podcasts out there reflecting on game week 15 and some amazing results, and we will sort of touch on some of the narratives as we go through these teams. But fixture difficulty rating wise, the teams we're going to focus on this week are Lolo's Green for Chelsea, Everton away, Sheffield United at home, Wolves away, Palace at home, Luton away, and Fulham at home. Scott, you tell me why Chelsea aren't going to do as well as everyone thinks they are out of these. Give us the narrative.
Oh, we're starting with Chelsea. I thought we're starting with Man City. I'm being prepared.
Oh, sorry. Have I flipped
No, it's fine. It's fine. We're agile. Chelsea
got too giddy.
Yeah, I think let's not get giddy about the green. We've said this before. Like you should get giddy about them on that green run of fixtures the same way you would get giddy about Brentford being in that same run of fixtures, because I died and looked at the league table. I'm guessing there's not too much difference between Brentford and Chelsea.
I'll get the league table up for you. And
yeah, go on. We get excited because it's Chelsea, and it's like, oh, Chelsea, they're a big club. Let's go in on them. But I don't think get carried away. I don't think get to a point where you're going, oh, I'm going to get to maybe 3 Chelsea players then, because which ones would you get? I mean, that's a shout, isn't it? I
Oh,
genuinely didn't know that.
Whatever.
Done it
Exactly,
research this week.
exactly the same points, exactly the same goal difference. That's what Brentford and Chelsea have got so far.
Yeah, do you know
That's
what? I
already had a
nearly said
goal
Fulham as
scored.
well. Oh,
Oh, you've been a point wrong, Scott. So well, just nailed that. 10th and 11th, Chelsea and Brentford.
So we should be looking at them like we look at, let's look at getting an Mbeumo in. So I know we're going to look at a replacement for him. Yeah, look for like a kind of similar kind of midfielder for Chelsea, but I'm not getting giddy and looking at getting 2 or 3 in because they're so inconsistent. I won't be touching the defence of a barge pole. Like, they can't keep a clean sheet for Toffee. Looking here, the last time they kept a clean sheet in the league were 2nd of October against Fulham. So there's no chance of them keeping a clean sheet. They're quite fun to watch now, though, because they're very end-to-end. There's lots of goals in the games. Looking at the last few fixtures, 2-1, 3-2, 4-1, 4-1, 4-1. And last night's 2-1 probably should have been about 8-3. It was lots of chances missed. So that's my take on it. I'd probably be looking at one budget midfielder, but I wouldn't be getting giddy with any other position. Nicholas Jackson up top's not good enough, and defense I'm going nowhere near.
Baz, your thoughts on Chelsea so far this season, as well as
quite similar to Scott's, to be honest. Really, I think they're waiting for Nkunku to come back, and he's looking at coming back. His training now, just lack of fitness. 16th of December is due back, so he's someone that I'm keeping a radar, especially with them green fixtures. I know they're not great fixtures. Like Everton away is a tricky fixture. Wolves away is a tricky fixture, as Man City found out. Luton away as well, Arsenal found out, but just scraped the win. So, yeah, I think it's one of them where I'm still waiting and seeing. And I think, as Scott mentioned, I think the budget midfielder is in question is Palmer. And obviously your favourite might be a good shout as well, Sterling, Alex. So, I think they're the only 2 that's on my radar. I was contemplating Reece James, but I'm not spending that much money on Reece James. And as Scott mentioned, they don't keep clean sheets. Yes, he's good going forward, but you also want potential clean sheets. But no one's keeping clean sheets with VAR and how long the games are going. So yeah.
It's it's interesting about defenders. So if we have a look at on the table there, if we have a look generally at defenders and points that are being scored, and I have totally screwed myself over by going to that point. This is what happens. I get way too giddy, and then I've already got the Chelsea players up, but I wanted to actually look at the defenders first of all and who's scoring points and who's not. So far this season, you've got Trippier, Trent, Anderson, Saliba, Zinchenko, White, Mitchell, Virgil van Dijk, Dalot, and Schär as the top 10 scoring defenders. There's quite a big spread over. There's 82 points for Trippier, 71 for Trent, and then there's a big drop off to 64 for Anderson. In comparison to, even look at these Chelsea midfielders, only one player has scored more than like Anderson, and that's Sterling. So Chelsea defenders they're nowhere near, are they? Sanchez has got 56 points overall this season. The highest scoring defender they've got is Levi Colwill at 43 points. So there's not really, they haven't got like an attacking wing back like a Trippier or a Trent or Anderson who can score from a corner, or Saliba who scores from a corner, Zinchenko who inverts and creates. They haven't really got any defenders that you'd really want to invest in anyway, because no one's keeping clean sheets this season, are they really? It's one of the most annoying parts of this season. But remember, everyone's in the same boat. We're just not getting anywhere near as many clean sheets, and defenders are really low scoring this season compared to what they have been. I haven't done all the statistics yet, but they are really low scoring. So the best option at the moment, and he's obviously boosted by his 11 points last week, is Sanchez or Colwill, so 4.6 and 4.5. But you're not ripping your team up to get one of these guys in. Just a complete waste of time. So
Unless you're still got Mighty Cash, that doesn't play. So
yeah, I suppose this is the thing about Matty Cash. I mean, if you want to get Colwill, and you can get Colwill, I think, to replace him. I don't think it's a bad move.
And you would be saving money as well, because if you got Cash quite late, I got him at 4.7, and he's at 4.9 now. So yeah.
So He's an okay direct replacement, but again, you're not taking -4s. You're not doing anything silly, really, for that. I mean, unless you take a -4 if you're only fielding 2 defenders, for an example, then it's worth taking a -4 to get somebody in. But there are other defensive options that are potentially better who can get you more attacking returns than any of the Chelsea lot. Midfielders, the two in question who are the best Boomer replacements, Sterling and Palmer. Having a look at their statistics, Palmer's got 3 assists compared to Sterling's 4. They've got 5 goals each. 4 of Palmer's are penalties. To be fair, out of the two of them, Scott, there's £1.7 million worth of difference in FPL. Do you think Sterling's worth it?
No, he's not worth 1.7 million difference between them. Not a chance in hell. Palmer took his goal really, really well last night as well. I was really impressed by how he took that. It's good to see him. Like I say, he's been returning a lot of penalties. But at the end of the day, it's not a bad thing to have someone that takes penalties, unless you have Bruno Fernandes and you miss the penalty. Cheers, that Bruno. But more often than not, you're getting a goal there when it's a penalty. So yeah, for me, it'll be Palmer. I think the only thing with Palmer, correct me if I'm wrong, was he was dropped at the weekend. He didn't start at the weekend, so I feel like Sterling.
I think he was nursing something. I don't think
Was
it
he nursing something?
I don't think it's because he was bad. He got out of favour. It was because he was either an injury or an illness. I think, from what I can remember from the press conference.
Yeah, I think it was an illness.
All right, so I would just say like the only slight concern is I feel like Sterling would be favoured a little bit more if he had a decision to make. But yeah, Palmer without a shadow of a doubt for me.
Barry, same question to you, because it's the question on a lot of people's lips.
I agree. Strangely enough, if you looked, obviously for YouTube listeners, Palmer's only played 794 minutes, and Sterling's played 1,234. So, and the shots are not too far off each other. So, to me, that proves that Palmer is very influential, and obviously he takes penalties as well. Yes, Sterling creates a lot, but he doesn't really shoot a lot. So it's one of them where if you want to save some money, I've got money in the bank. I could go either, but to save a bit of money, I think I'm going to go for Palmer as well.
I think with Boomer as well as he's 7 million, Sterling 7 million, it's a direct swap. So pretty much everyone will have the money, unless if had Boomer from the start of the season, he paid 6.5 for an example. So generally, everyone's going to have the money, and a lot of people are going to have this debate this week. Sterling's non-pen XG is basically double Palmer's, but it doesn't really matter, because again, at the same time, his Palmer's XG is like 4.83, whereas Sterling's is 2.9. Sterling is outperforming his expected goals by 2. So is he getting the better quality of chances when we're looking at the statistics? And when I'm watching the games, I feel like either one of them, I feel like they're very similar in terms of the amount of attacking returns they could get. In your watch last night, maybe Sterling could have had one more assist, or something like that. But I think they're very, very similar. Would you have another question? Because a couple of people have got him in the league. If you've already got Palmer, would you double up on the Chelsea midfield, Scott?
Definitely not. No, they're not looking good enough. Like I said, I don't think they're looking good enough at the minute. I would want to edge my bets and spread my players elsewhere. I don't really like doubling up on midfielders, regardless of what club they are, to be honest with you. I feel like you've got less chance of returning. The only one I would maybe go for, if maybe you had like a informed Kevin De Bruyne and I don't know, a really like an informed Foden, and City are just going through one of those ridiculous periods, which I'm sure they're just about to go through because this is what they always do. But other than that, no, I wouldn't.
They have scored 13 goals in the last 5, Baz. I know 4 of them were against Tottenham and against 9 men. But would you not think, in terms of other... I suppose the question is, if you've got Palmer already and you've got Bumo and you've got £7 million to spend, are you going for somebody different to Sterling? Because you're going to have to move Bumo on this week, really.
See, I've only got one free transfer, but I've got Eze who's injured, and I've got Mbumo who's injured. So I could go Sterling and Palmer if I wanted to, and take an Alex Rex a minus.
Has it just moved to me being a minus? After all the minuses you took.
You kept prompting it, going, "Oh yeah, I might take a minus on the on the pod team. Might take a minus on the pod team. Mr. Minus there."
You know what I was doing? Giving us an
Jamie, I got a
alternative.
minus touch.
Neither of you two wanted to take minuses. That's why I was like, I'll propose a minus difference. But yeah, sorry, go on, Buzz.
So I could do that if I wanted to. But looking at my defence, I actually might do because I've got quite a few tough fixtures. I've got obviously Branthwaite. He's got Chelsea at home, and then obviously I've got Taylor as well. And I think he's got a hard game as well. I think it's either Brighton at home or Brentford or something like that. So it's a possibility, and like if you've got a Palmer and you've got Mbeumo injured, then yeah, why not? I won't see why not. Chelsea's fixtures look okay. I wouldn't say they're brilliant. I know we've seen all the green, but Sterling's looked good. And as Scott keeps saying, he's passing the eye test of mine. I might need my eyes tested though. To
be honest, I think I agree to a point. I think that just because of the time of year that we're in and how heavily condensed the fixtures are, you need to go with as many dead certs as you possibly can do in your FPL team, especially from teams that aren't in Europe because they have another game in Europe left, and also potentially aren't in the League Cup because there's another one there. But basically, you need to go for almost dead cert 90-minute people or people that are going to start. So I look at the quality of fixtures and I look at the amount of players that are out there, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm almost certainly going Mbeumo to Palmer this week in my team. But if I was in your position, Baz, I don't know which other player I'd favour over Sterling to go for that I think's nailed for minutes over the Christmas period. I mean, don't get me wrong, you've got someone like Gordon who's back fit and their run of fixtures is good. A lot of people have him as well. Yeah, so it's who else you'd go for. And any thoughts on that, Scott? Any other players really stick out in your head at sort of the 7 million or below range in midfield that you would go for instead of Sterling?
Oh wow.
Hwang's a good shout. Yeah, Golden I think was the one that sticks out for me. He's turning a lot at the minute. I've had him for a long time, and he's been brilliant, and he's great to watch.
Yeah. I think that's the thing, because I mean, so for example, have you got Gordon at the moment, Baz?
No, he was one of the players that I was looking at, and I didn't get him in the end. But then I'd have 3 Newcastle then. So,
I mean, 3 Newcastle. I mean, I know they've got Spurs away next. After obviously the game that plays tonight, we are recording before they play West Ham.
Yep.
Before they play West Ham tonight, they're playing Spurs away after, which can be any amount of goals in any game with Spurs because they're great fun this season. But Fulham at home, Luton away. Luton have got loads of home games, it feels like. Every time I look at, they've got City, Newcastle, and Chelsea on Brighton the next 4 home games. That's a right run, isn't it? Of home fixtures. But yeah, sorry. Fulham home, Luton away, and Forest at home are the 3 fixtures after the Spurs. So I mean, I would worry about having 3 Newcastle players in your team. You know, Dubravka obviously is a keeper. Sounds like they're not going to go for De Gea. That's the latest from like the Eddie Howe press conference. It feels like they've got full backing for Dubravka. So
yeah, I think if you went for De Gea, you'd be in the situation that Arsenal you'd have 2 first choice keepers when Pope comes back.
Well, Pope's probably going to have the season near enough with rehab. So
They're saying April, aren't they? So
yeah, so we've got a month of having 2 first choice keepers because De Gea, we won't give De Gea a contract after the end of the year. I wouldn't have thought. So, I mean, I don't think it's as quite as the pressure situation of the Raya Ramsdale thing, but I know what you're getting at with it. But yeah, the other options there. Let's get on to City, shall we? Because they're having a mini blip, aren't they? Really, they've not won in 4. They've conceded 9 goals. Yeah, in terms of form in the Premier League table, I did do I need to do some sort of survey apparently. In terms of the form table, they're 8th in the last 6 game weeks. Is it the fixtures? Is it what's going on with City, Scott? Get your notes back up for them.
Yeah, I think we've got to take it with a pinch of salt. We always think that City are just this robot team that just go on unbelievable runs all season. Well, I think the last couple of seasons especially have shown us actually they're a bit more human. They do go on these dips of forms, And if you look at who they've dropped points against, Villa, who are insane at home this season, Spurs, Liverpool, Chelsea. So, I mean, that Chelsea game was just a bit of a freak game as well. So they've dropped points there against the so-called four of the big six clubs, really. Potentially, you could say that now with Villa. What surprised me most, and I think Baz watched. Was it? Baz watched the game, so he might be able to shed a bit more light on. I looked at the statistics from last night, and I genuinely thought I was reading them the wrong way around. Like Villa, it looks like absolutely battered them, and like even like possession wise, Man City only had 54%. So like for Man City, that's not a lot at all. So it seems like they've just got absolutely owned by Villa. So yeah, I think it's one of those where City they're had a little blip. Even in the Champions League, I think they went 2-0 down to Leipzig and turned that game around. But we all know what City like to do when they've been on the blip. They'd like to give someone a spanking, and as much as I battle Luton to the hills this season, I fear for Luton a little bit on that next game. I can see them coming out and winning that 5 or 6-0, even at Luton, who have looked really, really good at home this season. So I think it's just a blip, to be honest with you. Let's see what they're going to be like. They've played the tough teams now. They've got a nice little run. Let's see.
Your thoughts, Barry? You watched the game?
Yeah, I watched the game, and to be honest, as I said in the group chat, Villa bossed them. They were near enough perfect. Villa was. Defensively, they were sound. Diego Carlos actually defended Haaland really well. Haaland had 2 shots, and they were in the first 11 minutes. After that, he had none because they only had 2 shots on target, and they were in the first 10 minutes. So yeah, it was really good showing from Villa, and it showed that Emery's doing really well. And with City as well, if you defend against him, it's going to come. They're going to break the lines. The runners are going to come through, and the passes are going to get there. But if you attack him with John Stones and Kanji coming out from centre half into that midfield, then obviously your fullbacks need to cut in. So there's space down the lines, or you can potentially get in between them. And I think Villa exploited that really well, and Douglas Luiz played really well. McGinn absolutely bossed it. But I feel sorry for Phillips. He needs to leave, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's out of favour. He's not being picked. He doesn't get picked when Rodri's not in. Kovacic is also on the bench. So's Nunes. He's not getting in at all, is he?
Yeah, and they start John Stones and Bernardo and Lewis.
Well, this is the point, though, isn't it? I mean, the Rodri thing is obviously a big factor. I mean, with him this season in the league, they've had 9 wins and 3 draws. Without him, they've lost all 3 games. All of them are away from home, and they've only scored once and conceded 4. So he's obviously a massive, massive miss for them. And considering, I think the games he missed were they the Wolves and Arsenal? Wolves, Arsenal, and Villa. I mean, Villa away and Arsenal away. What are 2 games to miss for the best holding midfielder in the world? Quite clearly, I don't think there's anyone that really touches him over the last couple of seasons. What do you think, Scott?
I just think for the amount of money they've spent, they shouldn't be crying about having one player missing games. I agree, he's big, but like we just touched on, you got a £50 million player that don't get in the team. So let's not start crying like, oh, we've not got this. Get rid of Calvin. You only bought Calvin Phillips because he's English. Let's be honest.
Right, that's it,
yeah,
100%.
It's like Scott Carson on the box.
Yeah, and like last year, or not last year, whenever he was bossing it, he was one of the top 3, easily top 5, like holding midfielders in the Prem. Phillips, not a shot of a doubt.
Yeah,
he needs to leave. I don't give 2 craps about Calvin Phillips. I give a crap about England. He needs to leave and get some minutes before. Also, I don't want him going to the Euros whatsoever. But yeah, I think for the amount of money and the amount of players they've got, they need to not be worrying about just one player being out. Therefore, they need to bounce back really. And I think they will. We've seen them do it for seasons now. I think they'll bounce back, and then, like I say, I can see them giving Luton and Palace a bit of a spanking. To be honest with you, and then I guess that's when they'll go to the World Cup. Is it?
It is, yeah, blanking
Yeah.
game week 18. So, well, everyone's pretty much got Haaland at the moment. The thought process is, do we get another City player in for these couple of games? Because I think, like, I agree with you. I think they're going to be delivering, and it's who we're gonna pick to get in. Everton away when they come back, followed by Sheffield United at home, Newcastle away, and then Burnley at home against some great fixtures. There's a chance, but probably quite a thin chance now. I thought they would have announced it by now if there were going to be a double game week in game week 20. It feels like that double game week in 20 is not going to happen because they've left it a little bit too late, really, to announce it. It's still possible because they can throw it in, but yeah, I'd have expected it to have been announced by now. So let's have a look at City assets. Haaland, obvious. Alvarez showing some pretty poor form recently. Let me get good old Julian up in terms of his numbers. He has only returned 2 assists in his last 6. That's right, isn't it? 2 assists in his last 6. Other than that, he's blanked in the other 4. He's not scored since game week 9 against Brighton. And then before that, it was game week 7 against Wolves after a really good start to the season in terms of a couple of goals and 5 assists he got in the first 5 with 7 attacking returns in the first 5. Is he a no-go now? What do you think, Buzz?
It depends on striker options who you've got, and no one's really performing. I was thinking Edward would obviously go on and start scoring. Yeah, he scored in game week 14 and got 3 points, but then he looked really bad against Bournemouth. What I saw clips of. So for me, I'm tempted to get him in because I've got money in the bank, but I've got other fires to put out. I can afford to upgrade Archer to get Alvarez in if I wanted to, but it's one of them. I've got other fires to put out, so I don't think I'll be going for it this week, unfortunately. Even though I'd love to, but it's the fear of then I'd have 2 Man City assets out in a game week, so I'd be playing like a 4-5-1 or something like that. So
no, we do have to plan for this, and this is also why maybe a City asset coming in for Bumo is not bad because Bumo was going to blank as well because that game was a blank against Brentford. So Scott, Alvarez, yay or nay, or are we looking at any of these midfielders potentially?
Yeah, I wouldn't be keen on Alvarez, to be honest with you. It feels like, yeah, just not quite doing it, not quite there at the minute. One thing I will say really quickly is it's a real shame there's not another big striker in the league. There's no Harry Kane, there's no Ronaldo, because there's only 2 reasons why I'm holding on to Haaland. 1, the fear of him returning us not having it, and 2, because there's no one else like to kind of bring in. Yeah. He's not been good at all the last few weeks. He has been owned by so many defenders the past few weeks as well. And yeah, it's just a shame there's no really like marquee person out there. But hey ho, it is what it is.
You feel like they're lacking a bit of creativity in that sense because he isn't the sort of striker that beats 4 players and scores or like creates a chance of nothing. Do you think that's more him or do you think...
Strangely enough, it looks like he's snatching at chances. Like he missed that clearing chance last week where he put it wide.
Okay, the open goal.
So it was one of them. Like that was the biggest shock of the game. So it was like, what's going on here? How's he missed that? So yeah, I think I don't know. Obviously, it seems weird me saying that Haaland snatching and he's not as clinical as he should be, but I think he's still getting the chances, but they're just like Scott mentioned, just having a little blip.
Midfielders, then, if we're looking at Phil Foden, who I had up on the screen just then, he started every single game, I think, except for the Bournemouth game since game week 4. I think he came on at half time, I think, in the Bournemouth game, or he came off at half time. I can't remember if that was a start or not, to be honest. But basically, he's started every single game since game week 4. He is the top scoring Manchester City midfielder with 69 points, with 3 assists and 4 goals. Is it him? Doku's obviously got an injury at the moment, so a doubt. We've got Bernardo in there with 3 goals, 3 assists, 54 points. Would you at 6.4 million as well? Would you look, Baz, at a Boomer replacement potentially being a Foden or a Bernardo or someone along those lines?
100%. Yeah, they're on my long list of candidates. Put it that way.
I've got a long list.
'cause
I've got a really short list. It's Foden, Palmer, or I've already got Gordon.
Yeah, I've gone for a few like obscure ones as well that I'm probably never going to pick. You know what I'm like with my keep list at the start of the season with draft. So yeah, it's one of them where I can pencil off. It's like my differential draft. I've got like God knows how many on that, but I'm not going to pick them all. But yeah, I think Foden's a great shout. To be honest, he looks not as good as obviously he did early on in the season, but it looks like he wants to create stuff, and some of the touches he does, yeah, it's one of them. It doesn't get rewarded for his play, a bit like what we were talking about, obviously Moussa Diaby and Szoboszlai. So it's one of them, but obviously with them two fixtures, Luton and Palace, then they're two good fixtures to not have two Man City assets. Put it that way.
Scotty, would you consider them? Consider the bounce back?
Yeah, definitely consider Foden. He looks class. I'm just surprised by how many starts he's had there. Actually, I've just always think
13
like
starts. Yeah, 13 starts this season.
Just
15
feels like
games.
he should just get rotated. But yeah, no, I would definitely look at Foden if you've got the money. Obviously, a bit more expensive than Cole Palmer, but just a better footballer. So if you've got the money, for me, I'd be going for Foden.
Yeah, better footballer and a better team. It kind of thinks about it. That's why it's 7.5 million. Very briefly on defenders before we move on. Would you? I mean, Kyle Walker's the man that's playing every week at 5.3 million. Akanji is the other one who's getting some fixtures. Aki gets rotated a little bit more. Diaz is obviously featuring every week. I thought Edison actually had a really good game from what I saw against Villa. Couldn't do anything about the goal. I thought he made some actually really good saves. Would you look at any of the defensive assets from City to replace Mr. Matty Cash, Baz?
Walker's a great shout, to be honest, and he's looking more attacking as well recently in the new formation, and obviously the man who ended last season on fire, John Stones as well, to come back. So they would be my two that I would be looking at.
Scott, thoughts?
You just go cheap now for cheap, unless it's cheap and get Trent in. I completely 360'd from, or 180'd rather, from a couple of weeks ago. Trent's the only defender that's getting attacking returns, isn't he?
Basically, yeah, or Trippier, yeah, basically.
Yeah, so they're the two you kind of want in your team. So I'd rather just go cheap on defenders, to be honest.
I think that links us really quite nicely to form players and to Liverpool and Trent Alexander-Arnold. I did ask for our resident Liverpool fan. We've obviously got a couple of them. Shout out to Adi Chip being another one of them. But I asked Cully, I said, why is Trent now returning compared to what he was before? What's different about what's going on? And his honest answer was, other than the fact that Endo seems like quite a half-decent holding midfielder, and he's just getting more used to playing there. 25 games he's played there now. He was like, there's been a couple of sort of more freak goals, so like the Fulham one, for an example, and then they converted a corner to get him an assist. But other than that, I think he's just sort of getting used to it, and he's had some better fixtures. Liverpool's fixtures moving forward: Palace away, Man United at home, Arsenal at home. I'm not saying we need to sort of jump on Trent immediately, but that Palace away fixture looks good. What have we made of him and Liverpool, Scott, the last couple of weeks in particular? 13 points and 12 points.
Yeah, I mean he's looked really good going forward. I still don't think he's looked great at the back, but I think if you've got a couple of free transfers and you're taking out, I don't know, maybe a more expensive asset, and you freed up a bit of money. Not wrong with getting Trent in and just having a little bit of a punt on him. He seems like he's always a player that thrives on confidence as well, and he just seems like he's a really confident player at the minute. So he'd be one I'd be looking at. And yeah, Liverpool, they're doing all right. Obviously they just about got over the line on Tuesday. I watched most of the game. didn't look particularly great, but always a tricky game against any team away from home when they've just changed the manager.
Definitely.
So for them to come through that, obviously they got the late winner against Fulham. Decent, I mean, a very good point away at Man City. So I think they're just ticking along. I wouldn't say they're going under the radar or anything like that, but I think they're doing all right at the minute, Liverpool. So yeah.
Is there any distance in the narrative, Baz, that the last couple of games they've got a bit lucky against Fulham to snatch it last minute, and potentially both goals against Sheffield United could have been ruled out for fouls. They didn't look great in that game. Is there anything to sort of worry about? I know they've won 2 games, but there's a narrative out there that Liverpool are just sort of teetering on the edge of not being that good, but still being quite. What do you think? There's any mileage in that, or do you think it's complete and utter nonsense?
Complete utter nonsense, mate. To be honest, and they win games. We were saying about Man United earlier on. What I was saying about Man United, they didn't play very well, but they're winning games and picking up points. Like you could argue, Arsenal are going to get beat soon because they just scraped a win against Luton. Yeah. So if you want to look at obviously going along them lines, if you're just gonna win games 1-0 or 2-1 or by a goal difference, then it's one of them where they're winning games. So at the end of the day, points make prizes. So yeah,
Trent's averaging 10 points a game last 4 weeks. So that's last 4 game weeks.
Well, obviously I think that's going to change with the fixtures going forward. Palace away obviously is not tricky, and I think there's going to potentially be a backlash with the Bournemouth game. Man U at home, easy game now, isn't it? Really?
Well, the beat is like 6-0 and 7-0 or something.
So
5-0 and 7-0, 12-0 last 2 seasons.
The one that I'm most interested in, see how good Arsenal are, see if they've got a backbone now. Is obviously on the 23rd of December.
It's a massive game, isn't it?
So yeah.
Thoughts on? I mean, Saka's obviously up there, and someone who's highly owned. Zinchenko's up there. He did get rotated in the week as we thought he might do, but that's just quite simply a fitness thing. He gets knocks, doesn't he? Zinchenko, they've got to look after the guy. But there's no way in hell he's missing the Villa game. There's no way in hell he's missing the Brighton game. There's no way he's missing the Liverpool game. So he's going to play all 3 of those fixtures, that's for sure. He probably won't play the League Cup match. I think they've got Newcastle, I think, in the League Cup. So he's probably not going to play that one, and he probably won't play the Champions League game. So I wouldn't be worried about his minutes in the league because they've already qualified in the Champions League. So Zinchenko's been a good pickup from both of you. I know obviously he didn't play yesterday, but he got 26 minutes and got 1 point. But so he did and got a point. But he's returned in the 3 games before that. Good player to still look at investing in, especially for when their fixtures turn. To get really good from game week 19.
Yeah, 100%. I'm a Zinchenko fan, so there's no arguments from me saying on that one. So for me, definitely Zinchenko's an option. Obviously, Tomiyasu's out till February, I think. So White's can obviously play quite regular. Kivor might obviously come in maybe because I think he can play all along the back as well. So he can play right back, but don't quote me on that one. Mm-hmm. So I think they're going to stick with the back 4 that they usually have now. I think, to be honest, they got really lucky against obviously Luton, rotating and nearly caught short with it, to be honest, with David Raya flapping. But yeah.
Two number 1 goalkeepers works every time, yeah. Arteta. Not too sure about that one. We'll skip the Newcastle checks. We'll move on to. Once this about Arsenal, by the way, the last 11 goal scorers have been 11 different players. I saw that earlier. How fun is that? And 47 of the last 49 goals in the Premier League have been scored by different players. That was a statistic I heard today. That's crazy, isn't it? I think like McTominay and Haaland were the only ones to get 2 or something. No, maybe not Haaland. It was Jimenez. That was it. Anyway, yeah. So they're the ones to get 2 apparently.
And who would have thought that?
Yeah, McTominay and Jimenez. Beginning of the season, not a chance. I've got to ask you about Villa, Scott, briefly, because, I mean, what a performance, as Baz has already alluded to. They passed City in the league, 3rd in the league. they're looking really good. Are they genuine top 4 contenders this season?
Yeah, I think they are. They've come off. It's not like they've just randomly started doing this. I think since the start of start of 2023, they've been incredible. They've been on this an amazing run, and they've got a manager that he didn't really get the time to do anything at Arsenal, but he's won Europa League like 15 times.
It's his trophy.
He's just got a group. When you just got a group of players there and a team that are just performing, like you had Leicester, obviously an obvious one that comes to mind, probably like a Brighton last year as well. They've got that togetherness and they seem strong in all positions. I did fear for him a little bit when the centre half got injured. I can't think of who it was.
Mings.
Yes, Mings was injured, but the other boys have come in and just performed really, really well. They seem like they've got that strength across, and they've got a really good spine about them as well.
Yeah,
like John
McGinn. That's such a strong midfield, isn't it? Kamara, Louise,
yeah,
McGinn.
Such
you
a
got
grafting midfield.
You got Tillemans and Ramsey to come on as well.
I was going to say you got Ramsey coming back from injury. He was amazing at spells last year. Tillemans, who, let's be honest, we've seen him do unbelievable things, score some cracking goals down the years. So yeah, just really impressive. I think the only thing for Villa is if Watkin gets an injury. They don't look too strong up top, so unless they invest on someone in January, if they think actually we've got a real shout of getting to maybe a Europa final and maybe making a run at the top 4. Let's invest. But yeah, really impressive. Great team to watch this year. And yeah, been on a really good run. And yeah, absolute top 4 contenders. Pep being Pep was like claiming they were title contenders because they beat his team. Chill out, Pep. Definitely not, in my opinion, not title contenders. But looking at the teams around them, I can see them, Spurs, Man United, maybe Newcastle, challenging for that top 4.
It really, from my take, you've got Arsenal, Liverpool, and City. I think over the end of the season was quite clear. I mean, it's not a new opinion. Will be the 3 teams that probably move away. I think maybe Liverpool's lack of holding midfielder might be the thing that does them in the end of potentially getting to the top defensively. But then Villa, Spurs, Man United, as Merson called us, a bag of revels, which I thought was quite funny actually. You don't know what you're gonna get. It's probably about right, really. I love that performance against Chelsea. I was so pleased with that. Massive win for United and massive win for the dressing room. But then, Newcastle and I think Brighton will probably be where they are at the end of the season. So, yeah, I completely agree with you, Scott, in terms of the challenging for the top 4. It's all that mixture of teams, isn't it? We've had the first sacking of the season. Shocking enough, it's a team that's bottom. We've got another couple of managers having their futures talked about. Quick fire on it, Scott. Wilder going to be a success, going to save them, or is it an inevitability they're going down?
I think they're going to go down. I don't think they're good enough. And I think it was just a lazy decision by the owners. Well, it was a decision. They're trying to sell the club. So it was an easy decision and one that they knew they could do probably. Don't blame them. Probably need to do something. For them bottom 4 are really starting to get cut a little bit adrift now. So yeah, not surprised, but no, I don't think it'll save them.
Baz?
Not save them. I think they're planning for a championship next season.
Yeah, for the way selling championship, I would tend to agree. Anyone else down there going to get sacked? So everyone's banging about Cooper, aren't they, at the moment, which I think will be one of the worst decisions for us. I mean, Forest fans were chanting Cooper's name last night.
Yeah.
They know
I don't think
surely the away fans, they know they don't want him to go. That's what it feels.
Cooper's got a lot of stock still, hasn't he? I think the owners showed great resilience last year. They were on like an even worse run, stayed with them, kept them up. But he did throw his pass into a bush, didn't he? Out of anger.
Yeah.
So I think the next game's massive for them. They need to get a win. Is it Bournemouth at home they got next? No, Wolves. Sorry,
Wolves away, then Spurs at home, then Bournemouth at home. So they need to get 4 points from that, don't they? Really?
Yeah, but I'd do you know what? I really hope he doesn't get sacked. I don't think any managers deserve to get sacked. This, not ever, by the way.
Yeah.
In the minute.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I don't think any of these managers deserve to get sacked. I think Heckenbaum getting sacked, I agree with just like, when he just give up. That sounds of it. I've got to ask you about Palace, Baz. Do you think Roy is under pressure?
If you look at Palace, they're there. I think they always get top half of the bottom half of the table, if you know what I mean.
Where they are now.
Yeah, exactly. And they don't really. It's one of them teams where it's like, what's your next step? What are you going to do next?
Mm-hmm.
And with Hodgson, I think it was a lazy decision, like what Scott mentioned with Wilder's decision. Not like the owner wants to sell, but he's got no really ambition to go anywhere the next step. And obviously he admires Cooper, so that could be a potential shout maybe if Cooper goes Hodgson out and Cooper there. But yeah, I think Hodgson, his style of playing, obviously he's had Eze out injured, and he's had obviously Elise injured, and he hasn't had the two playing together yet. So
yeah, I know. I mean, they sacked Vieira for when he had people like injured in a bad run. I still think that was a bad decision. But there you go. But this was inevitable. I think it's just the most inevitable thing ever with Palace. What I'm seeing right now, they're going to come 12th, 13th, 14th at the end of the season. They're not going to move forward, and they need to get a manager that's going to take them to that next level, which they hoped obviously Vieira was going to do. I just think they're just the thing is with the teams at the bottom, it's just they're getting cut adrift, like Scott said. So. Yeah, let's not sack anybody. Let's all be friends.
you be friends, yeah.
Should we do our differential draft, boys? Should we do
Yeah,
that?
let's go.
Let's
even
do
though we don't know what's happening, but I mean Scott's potentially going to win it with two players to go. All your players are played, Alex, aren't they? And I've still got one to play. So.
I'm technically winning at the moment, but all my players have played, so that's probably why. So that'll be the reason. So I will go first. And I have got my first pick written down, and his name is Wang Hee Chan.
Why are you going first?
Because I'm gonna lose.
How do you know? I thought Baz said I was going first.
No, you're third. I put Alex
win.
first.
I'm losing at the minute.
But you got two players left.
I kind of hope they get sent
off.
And
plus Tommy Asso didn't play for you as well, so you've got the best average.
Yeah.
Oh, averaging. That we're off on now. Averaging. What's the mean?
Well, I've gone for Chan. Wang Hee Chan. That's what I've gone for.
Can I get the fixtures up, please, Alex?
Sorry, of course you can. Apologies. I will get the fixtures up for you, and then we will.
Hurry up, Baz.
Oh, that's all right, mate. I'm going for. I'm really thought about it, to be honest. Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva.
That's the biggest load of nonsense I've ever heard in my life. You haven't.
I've got that many to pick from.
I'm gonna go for Mr. Bicycle himself. I'm gonna go for Garnacho.
Oh, he was actually next on my list. I was just about to go for Garnacho.
Go for Anthony's on the one.
I'm gonna back Wolves this week, and I'm gonna go for Mateus Cunha.
Mateus Cunha.
I'm going for Neil Mopay.
Who?
Mopay. Brentford. Or Mopai, or whatever you want to pronounce it. Not Cunha.
I'm sorry. Mopai. Yeah, just make stuff up.
Yeah. You can't just make stuff up. Yeah. Oh, Scott's having a coughing fit while he's trying to buy time for Pink and doing his pick. Here he is.
I'm sorry for anyone that just coughed down the mic.
No, we all know you're just biding your time. You're just faking.
Yeah. No, what I'm going to go for, I'm going to double up on Man United. I'm going to go for Højlund.
Oh, I like that. 3.2%. I like that.
Yeah. Really backing United. They impressed me last night.
Well, you never know which one you're going to get. It's me next, isn't it?
Yeah, I stole.
Sorry, who did you pick, Baz?
I picked
This is classic.
I'm gonna go for McSauce. 1.5%. Absolutely love the guy. When he celebrated yesterday and we scored 2-1, made it 2-1, I actually jumped up and went, yeah, and I'm not really that passionate about watching football generally, but about my team, my wife told me to shut up and sit down. I actually jumped up and celebrated. So we go on, Beth.
I'm going to pick my under one, and I'm going to have Buonanotte. Whatever you pronounce him. Not Buonanotte, whatever you pronounce him.
Honestly, never heard of football in my life.
Brighton defender.
Yeah, Brighton, yeah.
What's it called?
Buonanotte?
Buonanotte.
Oh, right, yeah. I get it now.
Just wanted to keep saying it, don't you?
Yeah, I'm going to go for...
You're going to get Luke Shaw or what, Scott? Get 3 United?
I don't think you're allowed 3, mate. I know the rules now.
You are. You're allowed 3 backs. That's what you're allowed.
Yeah, I'm going to go for Mudrich.
Ooh.
For banter. Under 1.
Under 1.
Well, I'm going to have to go for my under 1 next, I think, because I don't want to get caught out. So I will go for... Oh, that's oh my God, am I gonna have triple Wolves? I am.
Yeah.
Bentley in goal. I've got 3 Wolves.
Ooh.
I didn't mean to have 3 Wolves play.
I don't know if I've been under. I don't know if I've been under 10 yet.
Over to Forest. That Cooper's getting sacked. I'm back in Wolves. Let's go.
I don't think I'm going to go for any under 10, to be honest. I don't really like any of them. I'm going to pick Flecken.
Flecken? Away at Sheffield United.
I hope you're writing mine down this week, Baz. I'm back to normal. I've not written any down.
Don't worry.
I've only got Garnacho and Hoyland written down for you. I've already forgotten the next player you picked, to be honest.
Garnacho, Hoyland, and Mudrich.
Oh,
So I'm currently
that's
looking.
Why I forgot.
I mean, I'm currently looking at a defender, and I'm going to go for this person. Wait, does he even play? Do you know what I'm going to go for? I'm going to go for the player of the month.
The Harry.
Maguire.
Oh, there he is. Oh, you're a closet
He's
United.
got triple United.
Well, I'm gonna go double United, and I'm gonna go for Luke Shaw.
So you've gone for Manu and Wolves.
I literally am backing Manu and Wolves this week. That's all the only 2 teams I've gone for.
I should go for Chelsea, shouldn't I?
I'm gonna go for Dallo.
Not after you slated him, Scott. You should go for Chelsea.
Did I slate them? Did I?
Chelsea, you were like, they're not that great. Fixtures aren't great. They're the same team as Brentford. That's what you said.
Well, they are.
You said they're a mid-table side.
Yeah, still score though, can't they? Just can't concede. Can't keep clean sheets.
Well, if you've got a keeper to go for, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I'm not sure which keeper to go for. I could take any.
You have Sanchez if you want under 10.
Yeah. I think there's only one. There's only one left, really. The keeper. Well, it's 2. Well, it's 2 technically.
There's loads in there.
You'll probably pick the wrong one.
He's definitely going to pick the wrong one. You're going to pick the wrong Brighton keeper, aren't you, Scott?
Brighton?
That's what
Not even looking at Brighton.
You're not even looking at Brighton. Well, there's only one keeper outside of Brighton you can go for, surely.
No, I can go for any keeper.
You're probably for Trafford or something.
I've got under 10 left.
Oh.
I don't even use an under 10.
I went for Hwang early doors. He's at 8.5.
Oh, I might go for that person. Yeah, nah, I'm going to go for the Brighton keeper.
Which one?
Sold. No, the one that plays. Which one?
That's what I was saying.
Ooh.
What do you mean? Is it close? Do they rotate?
Yeah, they rotate on there every week.
Rotate all the time, and I can't make up mine as number 1.
Not playing them games.
But they don't analyse every single fixture and performance of them two have. But they do
Steele's played the last 3, so.
No, we're not messing about doing that.
Have you gone for a keeper, Baz?
Yeah, I'm Flecken, didn't I? This is the last pick, and we're wasting about an
hour. Let's go then for Steele. It's a steal.
It's Kelleher was in them, wasn't it? Keeper. I don't like
the look of that away.
Wet Palace. Yeah, can't defend, can they?
Not Edouard. He's amazing.
So should we just wrap up by saying Haaland's our captain, and we'll do socials and move on?
Yeah, sounds about right to me.
Deadline's 11 o'clock on Saturday, the 9th of December. And you can go for Salah away at Palace if you want to.
I might go Bruno Fernandes this week.
We might score a pen.
Double down on him.
But yeah, let's be quite honest.
Quad Manu.
Between Haaland and Salah again, and it's probably Haaland. So especially because it is on Sky Sports. I might even watch a bit of it. I won't actually. I'm in Manchester. Oh, well, never mind.
Oh, you go
But
to
there you go.
Manchester after Otley Road.
Yeah, no, yeah. Well, there you go. I go see my brother at some point, and I take his niece and nephew to go see him. He doesn't drive, does he? So I've got to go over. Trains are rubbish. Anyway, that's my life story. Thanks everyone for joining us this week. And don't forget to like our video if you're watching on YouTube and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to give us 5 stars wherever you listen to your podcasts. That's Apple Podcasts, Spotify. That's about 50% of where our listeners are. The other 50% get them from all sorts of different podcast platforms, Google, Samsung apps, whatever it is. So don't forget to give us 5 stars wherever you are, and to give us or to follow us on social media platforms. For Pod, for P, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Barry, Merry Christmas, and
Merry Christmas.
and bye for now. Scott, thanks for joining us.
Yep. Cheers, Alex and Baz.
Bye for now.